Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 99 of the Wheels to Walking podcast, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a guy not in a wheelchair.
What up? So if I know how to count correctly, like I saw like
Stop the count! Stop the count! Stop the count!
That's
Stop
right.
the count!
That's right. We're allowed to talk about this shit now. Yes. So if I count right, last week said 54.
Or something like that, or 53 or something.
99 now?
So I'll explain. So back in the day,
have you lost your marbles?
The Andrew Dice podcast, we recorded 3 episodes of that. We had episode like 46 and a couple of others.
Yeah, it was like 46 or 7, 113, 127 or something like that.
Yeah. So we got 3 episodes there. Then we were podcasting for a year in secret on Patreon.
Behind the scenes, the Patreons.
And we had 42 episodes of that, I think it was. And we're at 53 or 4, including episode 0, I think. So technically, we have recorded together, Richard and I, 99 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
You know, today would have been 100 if we would have
recorded last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we're gonna get back to being more consistent and
follow us on places. See ya. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 100 of the Wheels to Walking podcast, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a guy not in a wheelchair.
What up?
Wow, I can't believe we hit 100
episodes, dude. Yes.
That's amazing.
Too bad we don't have a cake here. We can't
Oh, man. Too bad we don't have, like, balloons that say 100, like, like all the Instagram people do when they hit any kind of milestone. It's really annoying and cheesy.
You should press one of the buttons over there and see if it's the horn. Do you know which one's Nope.
Well, that works. Yeah, episode 100.
We made it. Woo!
Yahoo. This is kind of sad, though.
I know.
Because if people are just tuning in, we're probably naming the episode something pretty clickbaity, but this is...
You probably already know, but...
the last episode of the Wheels to Walking podcast.
This is the final
Unless
episode.
For some reason we decide to have a world tour reunion at some point.
I knew this day was coming. I knew this episode was coming. I knew we would have to talk about this, and I'm like weirdly nervous and anxious to even tell them, even though I knew, like we've known. I mean, I haven't even told my family yet. Like Jalila knows, and like a few select people that are like in the biz with us that like, we talk to about stuff and whatnot. But so
we're breaking up.
And I don't even, like, obviously, it's not a bad breakup. Like, clearly, we're still friends. We're laughing. We're joking over a good time.
I was not having an affair.
Yeah.
I what's that thing from Hard Rock, Nick? I was not gay. And he's like, in the past, I was not.
I was not gay.
I was never. No, but, basically, long story short.
Dude, I don't even know. What do you mean, long story short? Long story long. Like, I don't even know.
We'll get to the long story long, but long story short, I'm accepting a position at a new company, and Richard and I have reached a point in Wheels to Walking where we're feeling different kinds of ways about all kinds of stuff, and we're in a weird kind of transitionary period.
We'll literally dive into this.
And so basically, I am taking on a new position at a new company as the head of content or whatever. I don't have an official position yet, but
it's a management position, a creative management position with people underneath you, with basically double the money and a lot of room to grow. So when he told me that, I was like, oh, you'd have to be an idiot not to take that.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck me, but also like you need to take that. Like as a friend, like go do that. And and in a weird kind of way, like, God, this episode's gonna be strange because we're gonna be exposing like so much stuff that you guys don't know about that was happening behind the scenes.
Like my third nut.
Yeah, I know, dude. Well, I'm the one who actually I got a plastic third nut. I actually have a plastic third nut. You're welcome. Just shout out AMS 800.
Shout out.
I mean, basically, I've been thinking about like when, like leading to today, which is, right after we're recording this podcast, we're gonna do a video for the main channel too. Which is kind of just gonna, optically, like the hardcore homies know that you're a big part of this, but a lot of the normies don't know. So this episode and for the other episode is really for the hardcore homies. And also, like, everything at Wheels to Walking YouTube is gonna change. Like, I don't even know what I'm I do know, but I also don't know at the same time, meaning like there will be no posting expectations. There will be no posting day. There will be no video per month requirements. And
that's kind of
I don't even know
opposite of what we've been doing.
Yeah, and I don't even know the style of videos, you know, because people don't realize how much you are literally like the visual aesthetic of Wheels to Walking.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might turn into some more vloggy stuff. It might turn into more me like sitting at a desk talking about things.
But
like,
it doesn't mean we're not making any more videos with Wheels to Walking. It just means for now, there's no expectation of any videos. Like whether we post or we don't post, like that's up to you at this point, kind of what you're going to be making.
Not only up to me.
You're going to be creating.
Yeah, not only up to me, but also we've got, and by the way, any type of like, you know, brands that we're working with right now that might be listening, like we're still going to finish up obviously everything.
Any kind of obligations.
Anything that we've agreed upon. We're not just going to like cut and be like, all right, peace, see ya. Like we still want to give you great content, and we still.
Wheels to Walking is still very much going to be a thing.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I was literally thinking about how, like, again, where did we get to here from all the way from the beginning? And I think, honestly, like, when I got hit by the car was like the biggest stumble. And I feel like, no pun intended, we've been trying to find our footing ever since. You know,
There's so many puns in there.
I know, dude, I can't even get started, but just for the sake of it.
Stumble, footing. So many. Anyways.
Yeah, so I mean, we launched the podcast, and then, you know, get hit by a car. Episode 8 is Richard gets hit by a car, and
yeah,
and then
we pre-recorded like 6 of them, so it was literally like
it was weird.
The second episode on our regular schedule was like, oh, cool.
And what was also weird was like I was being so optimistic about this year. I was so excited and so optimistic. I'm like, this is the first winter I've never really felt depressed, and nothing bad has ever happened to me because bad things always happen to me during the winter, and then like. Da, 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 da.
Andrew leaves. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, okay,
kidding.
facts. All right. Fuck you, bro, dude. I mean, I'm honestly dealing with some more other.
I know.
Shit that
I was just trying to come up with a funny bad thing that could happen this winter, and it's like, oh yeah, this.
Yeah. Well, this is both a good thing and a bad. It's a good thing and a bad thing. I think, you know, the universe listens, kind of thing. So, we pretty much took like a bunch of time off, and right when we were ready to start filming again was right when lockdown happened. So we had to get like real fucking creative and real strange, and like it wasn't our typical style of videos, and we didn't have the typical kind of viewership, and you know, it's kind of strange. And like we've just been like, for me, I feel like a lot of the videos have been obligatory. Like I committed.
We're like phoning it in, kind of.
Well, not only that, we had committed. We're like, okay, the commitment is 1 video a week. We're gonna launch on this day. We're gonna film on this day. 1 video a week. But I mean, even the last video, dude, like that was such a shoe-in. Like
the mummy one.
Yeah. Like people aren't even like commenting because there's really nothing to comment about, because that week we already knew that we were gonna split, and we're like, well, what is this week's video gonna be about? And we're like, I don't know.
Well, we already had it on the books too.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, we're shooting on this Monday to go do the sea brace mold.
My legs wrapped or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a very exciting visit. Honestly, most of the visit wasn't even in the video, like because we're talking so much afterwards about like all these questions about insurance and stuff.
And I think also like, not even I know you guys have caught on. Like I'm getting a lot of like messages from people and like emails from people and like DMs.
Well, it's the first time we've ever taken this fat of a break from any of it.
But not only that, but a lot of people are like, hey, you're kind of like, what's your channel about now? Like, what are you even doing now? Like, what is this? Like, is your mission the same? Like, I've been a lot of criticisms, and it's like, you're right. Like, and this is the reason why also you're hearing this on a Saturday and not on a Thursday, because we're postponing it until we can synchronize all of our news at the same time. But there was a how did we get on the roof
here? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I remember happening. So we went to our last trip to LA. We came back incredibly inspired and really wanting like the next level for Wheels to Walking. We were just kind of done with whatever we were doing,
and like the next level for our lives, like just the next level for like everything.
Yeah, we were just wanting to upgrade, just kind of like. We were tired of trying to do like fix the old, and we were gonna try to do the new, And we came back like really inspired with like plans to go to LA, but we needed to fix like some of the like financial side of things. And then like that was right around the time that like AJ left. And then like I brought on like a consultant to like help us like kind of organize everything, but we were kind of polishing a turd at that point almost. Like we were,
a little bit.
We both were kind of like checked out a little, and we came up with a good decent plan and a decent idea, but like that rooftop conversation at the end, both of us were kind of like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I support you, whatever you choose. Like, you support me, whatever you choose. Like,
yeah, we even like went down the road of like what the possibilities were. It was like, what if I move out to like California without you? Would you follow me there? Or like, what if we get out there and it doesn't work? Like, what do we do? Like, we were just playing out all the hypotheticals with no strings attached. Like, yo, there's no egos or like, you know, no one's going to hurt their feelings by like suggesting these scenarios. We were just like literally playing them out in our heads of like, yo, what would happen if this? What would happen if this? Do we want to live together? Do we want to live separate? Like, you know, what are we going to do? Because that was like our thing was we were like we were trying to move to LA. Like that was like a big part of it.
Yeah, we played a lot of like, if this, then that. Like, okay, if this, then what? If this, then what? If this, then what? And we just literally sat up there for like 3-4 hours, dude.
It was a long time. By the end, I was very exhausted.
Yeah.
The whole time I was pretty exhausted, honestly. Like we were just sitting there just like, what are we going to do, bro? What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
And it was a combination of like, we were both lacking because we had lost like that spark, I guess. Like that oomph, that like the thing that made us want to do the things. And like I have a bunch of projects that like now I get to work on, which by the way, I'm keeping like low key for now because you guys will find out when you find out. But like I'm working on one particular project, but like I've been so overwhelmed with the business as usual, with the day-to-day, with the commitment of a video every week, with commitment of the podcast, with the commitment of...
And those were all commitments that we made to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like anyone was holding a gun to our head and forcing us to do this. Like, these were all things we willingly, like, made up.
Well, because we're from the beginning, we've always said we're professionals, and we're going to act like professionals and behave like professionals and be consistent like professionals. And, you know, and even it was kind of like we'd built this... Like, I also felt like I had an obligation to you, you know? Like,
for sure.
Like, I had such an obligation to you because, like, I was not only obligated because, like, we're like...
Financially, but also, like, everything, you know?
Yeah, like, we're extremely, extremely codependent. And that's both a good thing and a bad thing. Like, when we were sitting down talking with the consultant about, like, our roles and defining each roles, and literally it was like... Well, Andrew can't do his job unless I do my job, and then I can't do my job unless he does his job, and then he can't do his job unless I do my job. And it's just like this weird, interconnected, like super, super duper. And then like we were just really relying each other on other for everything. So like we were both making decisions based on the other person too, which is that's really important. That's really healthy.
It was good.
Like in a relationship, that's a really good thing to do. Like to always consider the other person. Especially if it's something big. And then, you know, we both, you know, left that rooftop kind of just with the freedom to allow ourselves to think about what the future could look like if we weren't professionally working together anymore.
Yes.
Not
for sure.
Not that we weren't going to be friends anymore, but simply like what it would look like if I went my own separate way, if he went his own separate way, if I would try to find like a replacement for him, or if I would pivot and shift, or if I would take on the responsibility of learning to do things, you know, what would happen with the podcast, what wouldn't happen with the podcast, you know, where we would live, what we would do, how we would do it. Like it literally got to the point where it was like, I felt by the end of that conversation more free to think about like, being really selfish, I guess. Yeah,
I think so too. I think we both kind of gave ourselves the fact that we were both able to kind of play out hypotheticals and say like, what would happen if we did this? It was a way to kind of like test the waters without like hurting anyone's feelings, just to see like, yo, if I did do this, how would Richard react? So like when I made the decision to accept this new position, I did it at a weird time. I think we'll kind of tell that story in a little bit.
We'll tell that story later.
But I did it knowing that we were still going to be friends at the end. Like I knew it wasn't going to be a breakup, like an ugly mess where we were like arguing and fighting about stuff. And it's been very, very amicable. I mean,
yeah, and the way I think about it
that's
is
the right
like,
word to use.
yeah, we were both
Hernia.
We were. What up, hardcore homies that know that reference? So I think it was something like this. I think you and I both individually were wanting to advance Wheels to Walking while advancing ourselves at the exact same time.
Totally.
And I think after butting heads for a good 6 months and constantly accommodating each other and constantly coming up with new plans and new actions and new ideas and new this and new that, we kind of realized that, like, there's no way that we could do what we wanted to do for ourselves while also doing the thing for the other person too.
Yeah.
Like, I think we realized our codependence is what was actually holding us back, is like both of us want to grow, but we can't really grow vertically. We have to grow like out at the same time. We like, in order to go forward, we have to go away from each other. And
that's a good way to put it.
And I definitely don't, like, I see a future for sure where we would continue.
Like we'll probably come back together
at some point. Yeah, but for now, it's very much like what this does is it allows me to get as much time as I want to work on these projects I've really been wanting to work on, but have felt really obligated to do stuff I have to do instead of stuff I want to do. But then again, I made those rules for myself. They're my rules, right? Like like it's my own little glass cage, my little glass box that, you know, I'm sure I was sharing with you, or whatever you want to call it. But you know, like I had built that construct. I built those rules for myself.
Yeah, and also like when we were on the rooftop talking about a lot of things, like I was at a point where, like, you know, AJ had just moved out of my house. Like, I was getting new roommates and stuff. Like, a lot of changes were happening around me. And, like, I was in my head kind of just, like, thinking my ability to, like, pivot was a little bit more than yours was at the time, because you've got, like, Jalila to also think about, and, you know, your family that all lives here and stuff, and mine too. But, like, at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's I don't have Jalila is the main thing. Like, I don't have a girlfriend tying me to any specific place at the time. So it's like
I mean, at any point you could have snagged a backpack and just gone anywhere in the world. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing for a lot of it in my head was, like, the money factor. It was like, I've been making what I've been making with Wheels to Walking for a long time, and it was like you said, if I didn't accept this new position, it would be very foolish of me, because it's just like I'm going to be making so much more that,
and not just financially, dude. Like it's
opportunity. It's a stepping stone to something
huge
bigger.
It's a, like, you use the Tarzan method. You use that Tarzan analogy a lot, where it's like, you know,
you're swinging from vine to vine.
There's never a direct path to where you want to end up, and you're just swinging from vine to vine to vine. And I feel like it reached a point we were both, like, on the same vine, like, swinging in the same direction, and we were, like, over a platform. And it's like, either we keep hanging onto this rope and keep swinging around aimlessly like we've been doing, or we just kind of let go, land here, and then go our own ways. You know, you get your own vine, I get my own vine, and I
R.I.P. Vine.
Rip.
Because I jumped on TikTok, you jumped on Vine. Just kidding.
But I think it's one of those things that we both, like, I will speak on myself. Everything felt very gray. It felt very ambiguous. It felt unclear. It felt directionless.
The past few months, you're saying?
Yeah. It just felt fucking weird. And I feel like I was just
going through the motions.
Yeah, not everything turned into business as usual, and business as usual I didn't give a fuck about. Like, I was just like, and this is no insult to anyone I've done any videos with in the past couple of months. This is no...
I think those videos were the icing on the cake. Like, the ones that we were not doing collabs with were the ones that were, like, phoning it in, kind of.
Yeah, no, the collab ones are dope. Like, the collab ones are all...
Pitbull, Chelsea, Maria, like, all those videos we did recently were awesome.
Yeah. And then...
Can't forget about Brent. Dude, I can't believe Brent lost the presidential race.
I know, Key 2020.
Dude, Key 2020, dude. I really thought he was going to win. I wrote him in.
What was it, Make America Fair again?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Either way. Mafa.
Yes. But it was one of those deals where, I don't know, man. Everything just felt like I started to lose my mind, like, literally. And I think this might be the time to tell this story, is like, it was getting to the point where everything was so, like, again, like, ambiguous, gray, unclear. Like, I didn't have clarity, I didn't have vision, I didn't have direction. And, like, I'm the kind of person who, like, operates on, like, vision. And also, like, all of the decisions I had been making, I like heavily relied on, like, I put Andrew into that decision a lot. And, you know, same thing with like Jalila, I put her in like family and everything. But I was reaching the point where I'm like, I'm doing a lot of things for other people and not for me. And it's making me really unhappy. And like the direction of Wheels to Walking is not where I'm wanting to go. How I spend my week is not where I'm wanting to go. Everything feels like I have to do it and not that I want to do it. And I'm really uninspired. And like, I started even questioning like why YouTube and why I did that in the beginning and like bringing you on. And like, I just literally like, I needed space. I needed time to think. And, I'm the kind of person that's extremely distracted by anything all the time. So I kept setting out time like in my calendar and in my head where I'm like, I'm going to think about this and problem solve this and, you know, reflect on this. And then every time I'd sit down to do it, I would either get distracted by like making food in the kitchen or like a text message or like an Instagram feed or like something on my YouTube or some other work I have to do or a phone call or an errand I have to run. And by the end of the day, I'd be pissed off because I didn't get to focus on what I wanted to focus on. So I've been in a lot of therapy recently and because it's just a lot of transition. There's a lot of stuff going on in life right now, just even outside of this right now. But there, I kind of was like, dude, like, how can what am I going to fucking do? And I literally just like got on Airbnb. So like the previous night I was like, I got to run away to like the woods or the cabin or something.
You've been talking about doing that, honestly.
Yeah, I've been talking about doing it for a long time. Remember that one time I was like, bro, I'm losing my mind. I'm going to go check myself back into rehab. Like as a joke. I'm like, cause it's the only thing where I felt like I could like distraction free focus and like have structure and whatever. So
like take your phone and like
like no phone, no email, no computer. I'm like, so how do I isolate myself? Like, how do I allow myself to get into my head? So what I did is I booked a cavern. I
went into the cavern in a tavern.
Yeah, so I booked a cavern. Wow, twice, fucking twice. I booked a cabin. You motherfucker. Booked a cabin in Western North Carolina. And basically, no computer, no phone, no internet, no TV, no music. I just took clothes, food, and a journal and a pen. And I was there from...
What'd you do with your phone?
Put it on airplane mode and left it in the car.
Nice.
And I put it... So it was like a Tuesday night to a Friday morning. And I had a couple of ideas.
And that was right when I was like starting to kind of know what was going on with my situation, but I didn't tell you yet. So when you texted me like, yo, no video this week. I want to go off the grid. Let's just take a break, blah, blah, blah.
That was Monday.
Maybe, yeah.
And that was also
Monday night.
That was also when I ended up on FaceTime with Kenny, and I kind of like just talked to him a bunch about it because he's another one of like our entrepreneur bros who kind of gets it. And I remember talking to him about it, and basically he just like affirmed all of my insanity and was also like, yo, you probably should go to the woods. Like he's like, you should, that's actually a pretty good idea. So I went out there and basically just with my journal, I set an intention. I was like, I want to figure out what the future of Wheels to Walking looks like. I want to figure out how Wheels to Walking is going to make money. And I also want to figure out how Andrew can like quote unquote earn his keep or whatever, more than just videos, but also videos. And I want to find a way for him to be able to make more money too, because I knew that was a pain point of yours. So I went out there and basically just for 3 days straight, I just wrote. And the first thing I did was like write an intention about like what I wanted to get out of the weekend and why I was there. Not the week, whatever. And then the next day, the next thing I wrote was like what the end looks like where I see myself in 5 years. And then basically like where I saw myself. And then there was like certain things that I had to complete. I'm like, okay, well, like, let me flesh out that idea. And like I spent a whole day like writing on that idea. And then I realized by the end of the day that I didn't like that idea. And when I woke up the next morning, I was like, okay, I don't like that idea. And then I jumped into the next idea. And then I like really fleshed out that idea, and I was like, "Oh, I'm actually fucking stoked." Do
you want to say what the first idea was? Because you nixed it.
Yeah, sure. So I was thinking about writing a book, and I really wanted to flesh out like what that looked like, whether it was like an autobiography or a memoir, or like what the point of it would be, or how I would do it, or how long it would take, or what I need to learn, or who I need to talk with, and like, because like I have a lot of faith. I believe a lot in the story of Wheels to Walking, which is my story. And I also believe a lot in my resourcefulness. Like I'm not concerned Like, even if YouTube, like, even if we never post another podcast and never post another video ever again, which I don't think is going to happen, but if that were to happen, moving on to the next thing, like, I'll be fine. Like, I know how to figure this out. Like, I know, like, there's enough momentum going. Like, I'm not worried about it. I just need enough time to figure it out and to think about it. So I basically, like, dove into it. And by the end of it, I was like, I already don't like talking about myself, really. I like talking about what I know, but I don't necessarily like talking about myself. And that would require me to also, like, go through a lot more therapy and, like, relive a bunch of fucking traumas through all the way through my childhood that I just don't, and even through my adulthood. And, like, I just don't want to fucking do that. It didn't ignite a spark in me.
It didn't spark joy.
It did not spark joy. Yes, Marie Kondo, yes. And then this next idea, which I'm going to keep vague, but I basically, like, broke it down, like, really specifically, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is the idea. Like, this is the idea that I want to do. But in order to do this, I'm going to have one of the things I was like, no more forced videos on the main channel, no more posting schedule on the main channel. They can transition into more like vlog style videos or more like come along with me videos. And this whole plan was contingent on Andrew still being involved. And, you know, and then I was like, okay, I also have to step down from the podcast because I was coming to the podcast, dude, like, kind of disrespectful to you. Like, I was coming really unprepared. I was kind of disengaged. And even to the listeners, like, sorry if I've kind of just been fucking winging it, because one of the things that's kind of required for this podcast is, like, to pay attention to current events. And I just don't pay attention to current events.
Some weeks we have, like, really, like, we have things that we know we got to talk about because the week has just been, like, so crazy. Like,
yeah,
you know, after we come home from a trip or something, like,
yeah.
But those podcasts were, like, easy. But, like, sometimes we were really struggling to, like, come up with topics because, like you said, it's almost kind of disrespectful to the audience sometimes when you just come on and you're just, like, literally talking about, like, just shooting the shit. Some people do appreciate that. Like, I'm the type of person that can listen to a hangout podcast with, like, no real structure and I can still enjoy it. But there tends to be a point in those types of podcasts where it just becomes like you realize that there's nothing really that they're talking about. And so, like, we always, like, tried to, you know, come up with topics and, like, have some sort of structure.
Be professional.
And like you were saying, it was like we were trying to talk about current events and things, and it was like,
I mean, we'd book out 3 hours, and, like, at 12 o'clock, you guys would show up. You guys would set up, sound check, everything. We'd sit down, and you and I'd be like, okay, what are we going to talk about this week? And then we would come up with topics. And then, so, like, we were supposed to really flesh those out the night before. And not only that, but, like, be collecting them through the week. But I just was like, fuck, whatever. So, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of actually scared to tell you that because, you know, the podcast is your baby, you know, like
it was kind of interesting. You were telling
exists because of the Andrew Deitch podcast.
Yeah. And it was funny that you were, like, kind of coming to that conclusion, on your own without even knowing that I was planning on, like, leaving. Like, you were already ready to, like, you were like, one of the things I need to do in order to do what I want to do is I need to step down from the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool. Because that was one of the questions that I was going to ask is, like, do we want to keep doing the podcast? And it's like, well, that's solved.
That solved that problem. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was,
and that sucks for everyone that's a huge fan, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I'm sorry, guys.
Like,
you guys, like, out of all of the people that, like, you know, message me or, like, bump into me in person or whatever, like, most people love the podcast. Like, more people are, like, even though this is, like, literally 90 times smaller than the main channel, more people will verbally be like, I love the podcast, I listen to the podcast, versus, like, I love the main channel, I watch the main channel. That one gets a lot of good reviews too, but you guys are, like, loyal as fuck. But anyway, like, it was one of these deals where I'm like, okay, these are all the things I have to do. And then I came up with this plan where I'm like, okay, well, if we're doing less videos and
no podcast, which was actually, I thought, was going to be a relief from you because you've taken on all of AJ's responsibility without AJ's paycheck. Yeah,
which is
I haven't been doing the clips, but
anyway, but, like, that was
but the editing of the podcast and everything, like, that does take a lot of time.
It's a lot of effort. So I was thinking, because you've been frequently being like, I want to do more. I want to do more Puppet Master stuff. I want to have people below me. I want to do more creative. And then I was thinking like, okay, well, how can I slap him on some like money making projects? And like, you've been heavy into like apparel stuff, like the Osla stuff or the Pizza Slime stuff, or like even like, you know, MeUndies stuff or like whatever. You're like all about like diving balls deep into the merchandise. And I was like, okay, cool. So I made out this whole plan where I'm like, I'm basically just going to like shove him into merchandise land, and he'll be able to get like half the money we make. Like instead of all the money going straight to Wheels to Walking to like refund its spent money or whatever to get back into the red from the black. Or I'm sorry, to get back into black from the red. It was like, okay, like this way we can both scale. Like you, by the time in 6 months, could be making, you know, more a month to afford LA with this project that I had decided that I was going to do by that time could be another source of income. So we could both have your own personal stream of income, my own stream of income. Wheels to Walking could have its own stream of income. Like I concocted this whole huge thing, but I also knew those contingencies. Like I knew I had to build it in the way that like if Andrew wasn't around, because I kind of got a sense of that too. I think that's why I was also kind of like feeling so anxious and felt like I needed to run away and hide to the woods, because like I had already kind of picked up that like I got the same vibes from you that I got from AJ when he like didn't bring Sneaker to Sneaker Cam. I'm like AJ's checked out. I wonder what that means. And then like the next week he's like, guys, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, he's quitting, you know. But like I got similar vibes from you, so I'd kind of figured out. I'm like, I don't know what Andrew's up to, but I almost have to formulate this plan without him.
Yeah, it was weird because we hung out. That was when I came over to meet Cleo. And like the day before was when I first talked to Eddie. So I already was like thinking about so many things about the future, but I didn't want to talk to you about them yet. And so I was over at Jalila's house with you.
Yeah.
And I was like playing with the cat, and was
that after my trip or before my trip?
Before.
Okay.
So it was just funny because like that was like the vibe you kind of got was like from that day probably too. Like I was kind of like weirdly like I knew my vibes were a little bit weird too. And then your mom came over for a second and like
oh yeah.
Like,
sorry, these are cracking knuckles you guys are hearing.
Oh, it's fine. I'm sure I do too.
No, but yeah, I remember picking
my
up.
vibes were definitely in a weird place because I had so much on my mind. And then remember we were like, oh, you want to like actually shoot tomorrow? And then I was like, no, I booked a massage and like a float tank thing. Cause that was when I went to go think about all that stuff.
Oh, was in the massage and the float tank, the like 6-hour deal.
Yeah. I literally got a 90-minute massage and 90-minute float tank session.
And believe it or not, that kind of inspired me a little bit. Cause I'm like, oh, if he's going to go isolate to think in his own way, I kind of need to isolate and think in my own way too. But yeah, I basically came out with like a fucking solid ass plan that I was really excited to tell you about because I thought it was going to solve both of our problems. And I think it could have.
No, it definitely could have. It was a good plan.
I think we could have. I think it was a pretty solid plan. And it was something that I built selfishly, thinking me first, and then secondarily you, but also respecting each other and whatever. And that's when we went to Peyton's house. We were at Peyton's house that night.
Oh, yeah. And I had already kind of, that was another thing is I had already at that point kind of talked to Eddie and pretty much told him like I was accepting the job.
Well, what's weird is when I got back Friday, I like turned my phone off of airplane mode and I saw a text from you that I thought came that day, but it came like the day before.
It came on like Thursday morning or something like that.
And I didn't know that because like I
texted Richard and I go, because basically what happened was, so now that we're on this timeline, so right before Richard went to North Carolina, I had one meeting with this guy, and I'll explain in a second. But then I had another meeting with him on like Wednesday where I kind of told him like I want to know more. We laid out like the compensation plan and everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. And so then I was like, well, Richard's off in North Carolina thinking about a lot of stuff. I should probably give him something else to think about.
I should probably give him all the info.
I should give him all the info to be thinking about.
Yeah.
So I texted you, and I figured you were gonna like maybe check your phone in the mornings or at night or something. I didn't know.
Nope.
Or I didn't even know if you had service.
You know me, I'm 110% motherfucker.
Yeah,
I'm an absolutist.
I know.
I'm so black and white. Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it hard and hard fucking core. Yeah. You know that.
So I texted him and I said, hey man, I know you're up there thinking. I got something that you should maybe think about, you know, whatever. But then you didn't get it until like you were coming back, basically.
It was something like along the lines of, hey, I've been thinking about some stuff too. Let me know when we can talk.
Yeah, something like that.
And to me, that was the same equivalent of AJ being like, hey guys, can we talk?
Yeah, yeah,
and then we saw each other on the Friday night after I got back and after you already knew. And again, like we didn't talk about anything, which is really strange for us. Especially when we're around like your brother and Peyton and Jalila, like we can very openly talk about Wheels to Walking stuff or like merch stuff or like video stuff or like plans. And I was like, dude, I can't fucking wait to tell you about my time in the mountains. And you're like, yeah, we'll talk about it later. You know, like, and
well, it was funny because I had already told Matthew and Peyton kind of, and they knew that you were coming over, and I was like not prepared to have that conversation.
Me neither. I knew there was a conversation because it was either Saturday or Sunday, the next day or the next following day. You were like, hey, can we meet for coffee or some shit?
No, I was just like, yo, when can we meet up? Or like, let's like talk. And you were like, yo, let's go to this coffee shop. I'm like, okay, perfect, or whatever.
It was basically like, we always either meet here, the roof, the conference room, your house.
Or we just talk on the phone. I'm never like, yo, let's meet up and chat.
Yeah,
like it was
your house, the basement.
Because it's kind of like when you break up with your girlfriend, you don't break up with them over text or phone. Like you're gonna meet up
in person.
Like phone is like already kind of like, but yeah.
Well, anyhow, I knew something was up and I didn't know what, but I was gonna, and I knew something you wanted to tell me, but I didn't know how you were gonna tell me. So like we got the coffee and we like,
I was like, I don't know.
We like got down, we sat down. And I was like ready to hear your side before you had even like, we're going to ask about how my trip to the mountain was. And you were just like, hey, so how was your trip to the mountains? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to talk until he interrupts me.
Well, it was funny because I asked everybody, like I asked Nicole and I asked Peyton and I asked Matthew and I was like, how do you think I should like bring it up or whatever? And they were like, well, he's like in North Carolina, like thinking about all kinds of stuff. Like you should probably just like ask him what, you know, his thoughts about everything was, and then, you know, when the time is right, like talk about what you're thinking about or whatever. And I was like, okay.
That was kind of my thought too. So I basically, the plan that I just told you guys earlier, I laid it out for him. And then I got to the point where I was like, all right, and here's my strategy to like help you get more money. And you go, so here's the elephant in the room. You literally go, he goes, here's the elephant in the room. And I'm like, fuck, finally he's going to tell me. I've told him basically the whole fucking thing already. I'm like, I just spent like 30 minutes like giving him the old breakdown of like my entire week. And I'm like, yeah, and then on Wednesday night, a fucking hurricane came through and knocked down trees and like,
And I wanted to hear that anyways.
And I spent 20 hours fucking dicking around trying to get a fire going. And then at the next morning when I woke up, it was out. Shit.
That's funny.
You know, but yeah, there was this whole fucking thing. And then you're like, here's the elephant in the room. And you're like, basically, and then you like gave me the brief. You're like, this guy named Eddie, he's been like headhunting me for a while. And then I bumped into the gym and we started talking and, you know, he's going to offer me, I mean, more than twice the amount of money, you know,
with a lot of room to grow,
and a team and potential for ownership and like all this stuff. And literally my first response, I go, you'd have to be an idiot not to take that. Like I literally like in no mood because we had already had the what if talk on the roof.
Exactly.
The roof set the tone for any kind of hard talks in the future because we both had basically established like if we split up, it is not personal.
Yeah.
Like we had basically just established like in no way, shape or form is this personal by any means. Like no, totally. Like we are just looking out for ourselves and you know, he wants to help the mission as much as possible. I want to keep the mission going as much as possible.
Yeah, and like but we
were just open for any ideas. We were just basically like no holds barred, like any idea. Like no matter what the future is, like what does it look like if I quit? What does it look like if I pivot? What if it looks like if I move? What if it looks like he quits, he pivots, he moves? Like we just like explored. Like we just said, we spent 4 fucking hours up there just kind of talking and you know, there was a lot of truths that came out for me too. Like even the whole thing where like eventually like I've been wanting to slowly get myself off camera as much because like I'm kind of tired of being on camera and being like whatever. So it's kind of like the perfect reason to slow down, like the perfect excuse to like stop doing as much YouTube so I can focus on these bigger, badder things that are bigger than YouTube, way bigger than YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just it felt like a very natural like transition time. It wasn't like both of us were feeling it. Both of us were 100% feeling the change. And Yeah, when you said like, you know, you were going to North Carolina to like think about stuff.
That was such a last minute thing. I told everyone like at 3 o'clock, and I was already packed in the car by 6. Like I literally like texted everyone. I was like, I bought an Airbnb, fucking bye. And I was like on like as I was.
Here's the address in case I die.
Yeah.
In case you don't hear from me by Friday, here's the address of where I'm staying.
Yeah.
But don't worry about me.
Yeah, I was packing.
I had a couple of people message me during that time. They're like, hey, where's Richard? He normally responds.
Yeah, I was packing and talking to my therapist at the same time, and she was like super encouraging of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because she's like, she knows my brain, and she knows how like scattered and chaotic and like disorganized it can get, and like the more transitions happen, the more insane I get. Like,
yeah,
like any type of transition, life transition is like hard for me to process sometimes. So
yeah,
she was very much like, oh yeah, I think isolation's a great idea. And especially the whole like no phone, no TV, no outside input.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything except for me in my head.
Just analog.
Super analog. And it worked. But yeah, man, I remember it's a good, like when you told me, I was first relieved because I'm like, whew, okay, now I can kind of,
because I was kind of the biggest burden of Wheels to Walking, to be honest. Like, not a burden, but like it was like the biggest responsibility, like
the biggest obligation
financially
sure,
and stuff. It was like Richard has been feeling like, and I'm speaking for you obviously, but like
it's probably accurate
that you feel the responsibility for my income, you know, like,
well,
like,
I am
like
your single source of income.
If you're like, oh, we're going to stop making videos now, it's kind of like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I guess just go fuck myself. Like, there needed to be a way to, like, because you were like, I don't want to get rid of Andrew because, like, he is so much a part of, like, Wheels to Walking and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's more than just videos. But
I also
at the
had
end
a
of the
responsibility
day,
to
our financial relationship has always been based around how many videos we were making and things like that. And so it wasn't ever, you know, yeah. But anyways, like it's all for the best. And it is bittersweet, obviously, that we're like ending the podcast and like, you know, we're not going to be working together like as frequently as we have been and as closely. And we're the type of people, like, I know this, that like if we're not working on projects together, like we don't hang out nearly as much, you know, like
it's just a fact.
It's just a fact.
Just
like
true. Yeah.
We're both the type of people that like the people that we hang around with are the people that we're like trying to build something with or like, you know, whatever.
True.
And,
I think about where my current time goes to right now. It goes to Jalila because she's my girlfriend. It goes to Anas because currently he's my gym partner. And it goes to you because we build Wheels to Walking. And like, I know that I will be spending less time with you, but that doesn't mean that we're less friends or less close.
No.
And this new transitionary project that I'm working on, I'm going to be probably hitting you up a lot to be like, hey, how do I do this? Or where do I find this info? Or where do I buy that? Or what do you think of this? Or like, I'm still probably going to rely on your expertise.
Yeah.
And instead of just being like, oh, you do it, I'm going to be like, ring, ring, ring. Hey, how do I do it? Or
and
whatever.
I think it'll be good for us to like get some time apart a little bit. Cause I feel like
Brandon was saying that
we both, I think, get on each other's nerves sometimes. And, you know, like we're both like, you know, it's like when you're, you know, anytime you live with someone, you know, like your family is the people that you're like, you end up getting the most annoyed by, but that you also love them the most, you know,
True.
So it's like, I think by us spending some more time apart over the next few months, like it'll probably make our friendship like maybe even better.
Well, not only
certain
that,
aspects, for sure.
totally, but not even that. I think even creatively, because like before
we'll be inspired by other things, just not just each other.
Because before we started working together, like you were you and I was me, and now we've kind of more.
And now we're charred.
Yeah. Rich Drew.
Well,
Drew,
dude, that's my rapper name, Rich Drew.
Yes.
What's good, everybody? I'm Rich Drew. What's Gucci?
Oh shit.
Anyways,
but yeah,
going.
I would say that we kind of morphed into like a single thing. Or whatever.
we were Wheels to Walking. I mean, that's
like I briefly mentioned it to.
But then you started fucking walking too much, and I'm like, dude, know your place.
Yeah. Which is another thing that's so weird. It's like my whole channel is like when it's called Wheels to Walking, and it's so wheelchair
Now it's
based.
very literal.
Now it's like I'm up and walking again, and like that's a huge like.
It's kind of a mind fuck.
Not just for me, but also for the viewers and the audience. I don't know, dude. Like YouTube people, like they hit the subscribe button for wheelchair content. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't hit the subscribe button for me necessarily.
Maybe.
Necessarily. And then, but they probably didn't hit the subscribe button to like watch me do C-brace stuff all the time either. Like this is what I mean. Like we were just phoning shit in. It was super uninspiring.
But
it was just
to
kind of
be
like
fair,
whatever.
the past couple C-brace, the most recent one didn't do that insane. But I mean, it's got more views than some of our videos. It's got more views than our like Shorty Awards unboxing video, which like we spent a lot of time and like excitement over and all that. But like.
Which is also
the most recent C-brace videos have been doing well.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that this week we hit 10 million views on
the main channel.
On the YouTube, which PS, we hit 10 million views forever ago if you count Facebook.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we hit 90,000 subscribers again.
90,000.
90 exactly. And again, that's just YouTube if that doesn't count Facebook
YouTube
people
and Instagram
and
blah, blah,
Instagram
blah.
people and whatever. So like we're hitting huge milestones, we're hitting strides, and like the Wheels to Walking YouTube channel again right now, it's a legacy piece, dude.
For sure.
And what I found interesting is like there's so much there, and it's also
a lot of it's evergreen too. Like it still gets views.
Super evergreen, but it's also kind of like chaotically disorganized, and like that's fine. That's what a YouTube channel is supposed to be. But anyway, this new project I'm working on, I'm anxious and afraid at the same time, but I'm fucking stoked. Like I'm excited for what the future can hold because the current is gone. Like it's out of my control anymore. Like Andrew's gone. Like it's gone. Podcast is gone. Like
I
it's
just
gone.
like morph into the background. Like,
either I'm gonna have to figure out everything on my own, which is good. Which means because I literally have been to you and to the universe and to everybody else being like, I need something different. Like something needs to change. Like what's working isn't working. And every time we would change, it would be maybe like 10%, maybe like 20%, maybe, you know, like it would just be like little knob adjustments because again, like I said from the very beginning, we were codependent on each other. So like there couldn't be like any big shifts because if there was a big shift, that would like knock the other person out of the picture completely, basically.
mm-hmm.
And so like my initial thing I said was relief and then like anxiety and like fear, but also excitement because like I know in the same way that I was confident and excited and knew that the YouTube channel was going to fucking slap and be really powerful and really impactful. I know this next project I'm working on is going to be just as powerful and just as exciting and just as good. But like, I'm going to have to figure it out all on my own. And I'm stoked about that actually. I'm kind of, I mean, again, like I have like dreams about it that are both dreams and both nightmares, but it's also because I'm anxious and I'm excited, but I'm also, I don't know, it's like you deciding to leave is the perfect excuse for me to also kind of like quit. Because that's, I mean, that was one of the things like I've been saying for a long time. I'm like, dude, I just want to just stop everything for like a couple months and just like,
I think on the rooftop, we mentioned something like that. I was like, if you almost said something along the lines of like, if you left, it would almost kind of give me an excuse to like pause everything. Cause I could be like, well, sorry guys, no videos. Andrew, my producer, my cameraman left. So I guess I can't make any videos. Like, and it's like on one hand, yeah. But on the other hand, it's like you could figure it out. But at the same time, like, of course, you know, you lose the cameraman and an editor. Like that's YouTube. Like that is YouTube.
That is seriously
and
YouTube.
So it's like, it
like
makes sense
it's like,
that we need to step back.
Yeah. Like I'll either have to find another shooter editor or I start shooting editing, or I just don't do YouTube the way I was doing it. It's just time for the next phase. It's the next evolution. It's the next, whatever that looks like. And that, you know, professionally, what I'm working on professionally, what you're working on, like, I think we're both, it's a bittersweet, man. Like we're both stoked that there's something new that we both get to do autonomously and independently from each other. And,
yeah.
And I definitely see us, you know, coming back together. Like the fact that, you know, this particular thing I'm working on will probably eventually need ads that I'm going to run on, you know, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And that's currently one of the things you're doing right now is you're making ads for clients that have products. And so like this thing that I'm building is going to need ads. So it's like, eventually I may be like, hey, can I hire your company / you?
Yeah, seriously.
You know, or it might be one of those things where like, or like a client may be like, oh, well, we've got this new inclusive product that we need like a wheelchair guy for. And you're like, I got the guy for you.
Oh, totally.
You know, like,
totally.
Like, oh, you need a wheelchair model? Perfect. Like, here's, you know, like, there's no way that we're not going to continue to work together. I don't think. There might be a big chunk of time. There might be
big chungus of time.
6 months or a year or whatever where we don't do much. But so, you know, and then we've got a lot of other little, like I mentioned briefly, like if we got any like obligations through, you know,
companies
and sponsors and deals, like we're going to finish those.
There will be videos, like there will be Wheels to Walking videos. And honestly, like I was telling Richard, I'm like, if there's travel video opportunities, like those are always fun. Like I'm down to do those. Like
especially ballin' ass ones like going hunting with Dosa.
Yeah,
the Dosa boys hook us up.
And the thing is like when we go on trips and shoot, like we are so in sync with each other. Like we
Dude, we eat, we piss, we shit, we sleep. Like we're literally
we're like the same person. So it's very easy. Like it'd be very challenging to find another person to replace me on trips because it's like we already know each other's preferences. We know we can eat the same stuff. We know we don't mind sleeping in the same room or the same bed. Like, you know, because we're best friends, but also we're business partners. So it would be very hard to find someone who's like a new like employee cameraman guy that's like following you around on a trip. And then it's like, you know, like for example, we'll go on trips and do a lot of things where like we'll do the shoot and then we also end up just like hanging with those people for the rest of the night. It's like if there was like a cameraman, it's like, yeah, okay, you're off the clock. You can like leave now or like hang out with us or
not
whatever.
Even just hang with those people. We just go do stuff too.
True.
I mean, I think like the next, like hypothetically, the next best person would be like an AJ character.
Dude, I just farted so bad.
Nice, dude. My ass has been fucking nasty, dude.
Especially after eating all that those cookies and bacon last night.
Fucking A.
Anyway, sorry.
Like an AJ type character, but then I also think about like Connor could fit, or Alec could fit, or like maybe even Wheezy. Like the people that we know that travel and do photo and video work already. Yeah. People that know how to like work the road. You know what I mean? Like that has potential too.
But they don't know that SCI game.
Well, not even that. They just don't know me like you know me and blah, 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 whatever. Like
you must not know about me.
Yeah. Again, but the whole thing is like there is zero expectations on the channel. And if videos come, cool. But if they don't, whatever. Cool. And we're going to also do a separate video for our patrons because you guys are the shit. You guys have been like super awesome and supportive from the beginning. And pretty much I'm going to have to take down all the tiers and there will be no perks and any kind of continued membership is going to be completely voluntary.
What about the calls and stuff?
I'll probably still do that.
Yeah, so basically
I'll have to think about that, honestly, but
I think most of our patrons want to support us no matter what. Like, a lot of people don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but the vibe I get from a lot of patrons is like, they want to support us financially, and the perks are just bonus. Like, oh, cool, I get the videos an extra day early. Sweet. Like, but no one's really, like, paying that because they really want to.
Some people see it that way. Some people
do, for sure.
Some people are like, well, I get it early, and I get my name on the end, and I get bloopers, and I get a phone call. Well, like, a lot of people are definitely super entitled, and, like, that's cool. You are technically paying for those perks. I mean, what you're really doing is supporting the mission. And
you could easily still do the names at the end, though.
And I'm giving you the perks. I mean, I don't know how to fucking do that in editing.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a template.
Sure, but I got to figure out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I got to take a Skillshare course or some shit on how to do Premiere Pro. Or maybe I
can show you.
Or maybe I can, you know, get a full-time filmmaker thing or some shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I, Richard, have been heavily relying on his technical skills. Everything from running cameras to editing to software, website, music. I mean, there's so much that I've been reliant on. I mean, I even think about thumbnails. I'm like, oh fuck, how am I gonna even? I got to be basically like a Photoshop expert to do your thumbnails. And then I'm like, well, I'll just figure out how to do a different kind of thumbnail. And if they suck, then I'll just progressively get better. I guess it's one of these things that like. I am not at the start currently, but I'm starting at the start when it comes to anything production specific. everything from sound to lighting to shooting to editing, like any production type stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm starting new.
I think about it like the Doors, the band The Doors. The front man, I forget what his name was. He didn't know how to play any instruments, but he wrote all their music. So like he would get this like symphony in his head, and he would just come to the band and be like, I want the drums to be like bum 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 bum, and then he'd come in and he'd like, I want the guitar to be like damn damn damn, and like
cool.
literally the band would make the song, and he had no idea how to play any instruments.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's really interesting, and there's a lot of musicians that are like that as well. And I think about that, like, you know, for example, like Eddie, like the guy that you know, I'm working for his company now. He has no background in content and video and stuff like that, but he knows like what he wants it to look like. And you're kind of that way, where like you know what you want it to look like, but you just don't have the technical skills to make it look that way. And I mean, I think a lot of people are like that, but I think some people more than others have that like vision, and you definitely have that. So it's like, you can either figure out how to make your visions turn into reality, or you can hire another person. Or honestly, like thumbnails are fun for me. So like maybe there's certain ones that are just like the really, you know, cool videos. It's just like Andrew's just the thumbnail guy that just works on, you know, case by case basis or whatever it is. Like, well, I'm cool with that too.
What this does is this allows me to have enough time to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like I now basically am giving myself, I mean, about 6 months to get this project 100% ready to launch. And, you know, I'll be testing it at like 4.5 months or 5 months or whatever. But I pretty much, that allows me to learn everything from top to bottom, because Wheels to Walking.
From top to bottom, as you did.
Oh, I did the from top to bottom. Because Wheels to Walking, I could have done that.
From the top, make it drop. Sorry.
That's some wet. That's some wet. I could have done that, but I knew I had a powerful message that I wanted to get out quickly, and I wanted it to be highly produced, and I didn't want to have to take the time to learn how to do that. I mean, that was my biggest frustration, is like, you solved the problem because I was trying to get somewhere quick. And in the beginning, it was like two dudes just doing YouTube videos, and it's evolved into way more than that, but we're still two dudes doing YouTube videos.
Now we're two dudes chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart because we're not gay.
Two dudes chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart because we're not gay.
Two dudes chilling in a studio
4 feet apart.
One touching knees because we are gay.
Oh, you're too far away.
Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, it's just it's a weird time. I mainly feel like.
What about you? Are you stoked? Like,
yeah,
I've talked a lot personally. Like, I've talked a lot about like my, you know, fears and my anxiety and my story or whatever. But like, everything from like the whole Eddie bumping into you to like making the decision to taking the job to like telling me to even to like what the future holds for you. Like, I'm stoked because I feel like the momentum behind Wheels to Walking / the YouTube channel / you know, my story, whatever, like, it's pretty heavily reliant on me. Like, I'm still like chugga chugga woo woo, and you know, you're making a parallel advanced move, but like a lot of the mission, I guess, is gone for you. Like, are you like,
yeah,
like what's like, you know, originally the 80 podcast was like your mission, and then, you know, you transitioned it into Wheels to Walking and like help build this to where it is now, and then now you're going to like do something that is kind of where you were trying to do before you before you met me. Like, people don't even know that story.
Yeah. So
I mean, we got a lot of time
around the time that I started working with Richard. My goal was to make a company called Eyes Ahead Media, which was a like media company that would do all kinds of production. There was going to be a podcast division. That was the time when I was doing a bunch of like the animated GIFs for Instagram. And basically, Richard was the first client of Eyes Ahead Media, and AJ was actually he was the first employee. Or contract worker, whatever you want to say. And we had a couple of other projects that were happening around that time when I brought AJ on that ended up falling through, ultimately, I think, for the greater good. But basically, I wanted to have a media company that I could focus on, you know, making a lot of content for a bunch of different things. Like I'm super passionate about podcasting. I'm passionate about, social media, and I always love like pushing the boundaries of social media. Like, I mean, just the idea of making Instagram GIFs and stuff, like the average person isn't trying to figure out how to do that. Or, I'm always like pushing the weird limits of like what the platforms can do. And that's like something that I've noticed that I'm passionate about. So,
and you used to experiment a lot with Wheels to Walking, and then, and then we found like a recipe, like a template that worked, and then we just kept doing it, and then that kind of that innovation kind of stopped mostly. Yeah,
and I think it was mainly because like in the beginning it was almost like a test for myself to see like how good I could make things. Like I think the hunting video that we did in Texas,
referencing that one because it is a good one.
That video, I watch it to this day, and I don't know how I did that whole video on my own. Like I showed it to this girl recently, and I was like,
it's something that belongs.
She was
on
like,
Discovery
you didn't even
Channel.
have an assistant. I'm like, no.
Like it was just.
I literally did the drone shots. I did the slow-mo shots. I did the B-roll shots. I did the A-roll shots. I did the interview. And we did that whole video in one day. We shot that whole video in one day. Because then the next day we didn't shoot at all. We just had fun.
We just had fun. Yeah,
and like I did a couple of little shots the next day, but like nothing real. Like a couple of drone shots.
I mean, the Matt Lyon video is also impressive too.
Yeah,
that was the same trip. You know?
Yeah, and I look at those and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm capable of on my own. I know that I can do this kind of stuff on my own. But at the end of the day, like I have a lot of creative visions and things of like I want to be like Richard was saying, like kind of like the puppet master of like a creative director or something along the lines where I'm like I've got my hands in a lot of different projects, but I'm not the one sitting in Premiere moving around clips and cutting things. Like I want to be like, okay, we're doing this way, and I have got the vision, and I also know how to do it in my own brain. Like I know exactly how I would do it in Premiere, but I'm working with a team that's skilled enough that they can do it.
And that was kind of the big pain point that you were dealing with, is like you've been the laborer behind Wheels to Walking, the creative laborer for a while. And, you wanted an editor, and, you wanted a second shooter so you could direct more. And like, all of those things we were heading towards, but it
adds more complication.
But the problem was paying for it.
And at the end of the day, it was like, do we get another shooter and then I take a pay cut, or like, like I'd rather just be all of the things and make more money, like, because at the end of the day, it was like I'd rather make more money than bring on more people. But at the end, but also I know that if this is going to be sustainable, like I can't be a one-man show forever. Like it needed to be a thing. So basically, Eyes Ahead Media, that was my goal. And then Wheels to Walking just became the one and only client of Eyes Ahead Media. Like if you look at it structurally on like our Google Drive,
I'm under clients.
Most of the stuff is under Eyes Ahead Media's shared drive, clients, Wheels to Walking, and then all the stuff under Wheels to Walking.
Except for the stuff you have in your own personal drive, because you can share it with me.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, one of these days we need to sit down and I need to get
I'm going to get rid of Eyes Ahead Media because I'm paying for that, and I need to
get all of the media assets and all of the files and all of the project. There's so much stuff I need to get because I'm going to be whatever. Doesn't matter, not urgent.
Yeah, but we need to just sit down and transfer all that, because also I'm like
a peaceful transition of power, Andrew.
Yeah.
A peace. Are you going to open up a few lawsuits in the states that you shot those videos in?
No, I'm going to open up Trello and delete all the cards and sabotage your business, bro.
Ah, yes.
I'm going to delete all your systems and operations.
Well, that's one of the things that, believe it or not, like from the beginning, like we've had so much trust in each other that literally either of us has the access, the permissions, and the power to literally ruin each other at any point.
Yeah, I have the logins for everything.
Yeah, and like we could literally at any point just like nuke it. And just be like, fuck you, I'm out, and just blow everything up,
Yeah.
Like, that's also why this is honestly really nice that this is such a peaceful little breakup, because I've heard of so many nightmares with people that do anything creatively with, like, media or, like, basically anything in the creative space. Like, there's this, like, territory between, like...
Because there's a lot of egos.
Well, like, I made it, and, like, well, I paid for it. Well, I created it. Well, I thought of it. It's like this...
It's my intellectual property.
Yeah, it's like, it's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. It's like, we're such friends that basically, like... It's like, hey, well, like, this is what I paid for. Be like, oh, well, this is what I got. Oh, well, like, well, that stuff's mine. Oh, well, that stuff's mine. Be like, oh, well, you should give me that back. And you're like, oh, well, I used that for that, and I thought I earned that. I'm like, yeah, seems fair. You know, like we're like we're literally so chill about it because it's like in the end, like we're gonna stay friends. And
in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to quit to get the gear. In the end, it doesn't even. I'm done.
One thing.
That's hilarious. I don't know why Andrew's fucking leaving the podcast. No,
shit. No, but yeah, the thing is, it's, I don't know, dude, because I also know that at any point I could be like, hey man, I need help with this. Can I borrow that? Can I try that? Can I use this? Can I move that? You know, even like all this podcast equip, you pretty much have already found someone else to buy it from me because I don't need it. Like we're not doing podcasts anymore. So
yeah, we're gonna, this whole room will be changed.
Yeah,
which is kind of like low-key sad, like because
it's happy sad.
It's happy sad. Yeah,
this is version. This is version like 2 or 3 if you think about it. Like
for sure. Yeah. And like and I was getting kind of sentimental the other night. Like I was posting a bunch of things on my story.
Jalila's like, he's posting stuff on his story, and I go, oh, he's getting sentimental. He's a very sentimental person.
Well, no, it was funny because AJ sent me this picture of you saw it on my story, but
of like
he sent me a picture and he goes 1 year ago today, and it was
the first meeting.
Yeah, it was like this where we were literally sitting in the Andrew Deitch podcast studio
about to change it.
Like we were setting up lighting and trying to figure out what it was going to look like and stuff.
And that was also, but remember,
and then that same night was when we like made this whiteboard, and
then we made the second whiteboard. But also, if you rewind it all the way back to,
we invented whiteboards
when we were making. When I moved out of this room and we put the 80 podcasts in here, like that was
crazy.
That was generation 1 of the transition. And like, I don't know, this whole room doesn't have bad vibes, but it also needs new vibes for sure. Like I can't wait to turn this into like, this room has never, when I was sleeping in it, it was my room, but creatively it was never fully.
Yeah. And there was always like goals for like changing the desks and things like that. But like, we just never like got around to it because it wasn't that important.
Yeah, it's gonna this
and now it'll be like more of a.
It's been a multi-use studio, but it's been mostly multi-use, but mostly podcast. And then the new transition is gonna be like, this will be 100% my studio for me and my purposes and like what I'm creating and what I'm building and how I'm doing it. And like, and then, you know, if I start doing, I don't know, live streams on YouTube, or if I start, you know, shooting more different types of videos, and like, that's the whole thing. Like, I just got to figure this out. I got to figure out what Wheels to Walking looks like when it's Richard's 100% version of Wheels to Walking, not my story, him capturing it. You know, like that's how it's been for the while. It's like, I'm going to do a thing. He's going to capture it and build it and put it together. But now I'm going to do a thing and capture it and build it to put together. It's very confusing. It's going to look so different, like, but fine. You know, like, I'm okay with that. Instead of a slow, gradual change, like, instead of 1 foot on the bridge and 1 foot on the boat, we've both kind of jumped up on our own boats and, like, lit the fucking bridge on fire. And, like, you know, we're like, all right, fuck it. Let's go.
Let's ride. Yeah. It definitely is it's definitely bittersweet, but...
I kind of interrupted you though when you were telling the story about like what you're excited about for your future.
Yeah,
and like how that process went.
So the thing about my media company that I mainly wanted was I wanted it to be a company that was always getting clients, which means like I needed a salesperson because I don't really like doing sales. Like I don't like convincing people of something that I know that they should be buying, but they're not fully convinced. Like, I know that you're going to be happy with the content that we're going to make, but I don't like convincing you. Like, you should already know that. If you want to work with us, you should already know that what we're going to make is great. I hate when people are like shopping around and like, you know, like, oh, well, I'm going to nickel and dime. Oh, this content agency said they can make 4 little micro content clips for this much and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're coming to me because you like our shit or you don't. Like, that's how I feel about it. But at the same time, that's not always good for business.
Yeah, like, you would definitely get annoyed whenever I'd talking about how I'd have to like have sales calls and sales pitch and conversations and try to convince people, and you would get like frustrated. Like, I'm like, they should know. It's like they either want to work with us and they're 100% stoked, or they're 100% fuck no. You know, I'm like, but the problem is they don't know. Like, especially in the industry that we're in, it's like they're still doing like They're just now figuring out email marketing. Like
yeah,
they know
they social media.
They know magazine marketing, and they're trying social. Yeah. Whatever. But I'm not getting into that shit right now.
Yeah. So basically, the thing was, like, at the end of the day, Eyes Ahead Media was going to need someone who was building out, you know, pricing and packages and selling and getting new clients and stuff. And I just don't. I'm not that person. Like, I'm not that type of person. I'd much rather, like, once you're on board and you are 100% stoked, now let's talk, let's strategize, let's come up with some creative vision, some strategy, some ideas for content.
Don't make me sell you on the idea.
But don't make me sell you on the idea of doing it. You need to be coming to me. That was my problem with the gift thing, like the Instagram gifts. It's like, I know how much ROI this is going to bring. I made gifts. I haven't uploaded any new gifts in over a year of myself. I swear, every single two to 3 days, I get DMs.
Being like, oh, I saw your face on something.
Here's the other ROI. When you meet someone new, and then a week, 2 weeks later, they see your face on someone else's thing, they go, whoa. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
I get that all the time. So it's like, the ROI cannot be calculated by the money. And that's what always people were like, how do I make money from this? How do I do this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, you are just not on the same wavelength at all.
Well, one of the things I've actually come to learn about all types of internet marketing
and exposure.
It's almost impossible to measure ROI. Like, even fucking companies like Coca-Cola has no fucking clue.
How the fuck do you measure the ROI of a billboard?
Yeah, how do you measure the ROI of a TV commercial? Like most people have no way to measure, but when you're working with smaller people, they're like, there's $5,000 I'm going to spend. How am I going to know it's going to make me back this money? And it's like, dude, there's no way like, how do you know?
And that's the problem.
Like, there is no way to know.
It's like you
literally can't measure. That's the hard part that I was having a hard time selling companies, being like, hey, I know you have this product that costs this much. We can probably sell, 50 of them. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just give you this link. And when they click the link, they'll put in the code. And after they put in the code, then we'll give you money. It's like, that's not how that works. Like, there's literally like so much more ROI you're getting outside of just the purchase. And like, what if they see it 9 times from us and the 10th time they see it from so-and-so and then they put in their code? Like,
yeah. And like,
it's like people fucking, it's so,
like, for example,
it's so frustrating, but it's also like you're saying, like,
for example,
the people that know are like, sure, here's money, do it. But the people that don't know are like, well, that seems a little expensive. And it's like, oh my God,
just shut the fuck and go away.
It's like, just go away then.
Yeah. So like recently I got a new standing desk and chairs. I've had I had a couple people reach out and buy that same brand of stuff, of chairs and standing desks, because of my stories. And then Eddie, the guy who is bringing me onto his company, he bought like 10 desks and like 10, 15 chairs from that company and spent a shitload of money with them because of my thing. I had a referral code.
You probably sold
I have a referral
15
code.
chairs and 15 tables just from people on your
seeing my story. The thing is, though, I had a referral code, but I told Eddie my referral code, but then he found another code that gave him more off. So he didn't use it.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like, the thing is like, I was responsible for those sales, but they chose a different code because it was better. That's not my fault, And that's how brands they're like, well, we're running a 20% off thing, but your affiliate code is still 10%. Fuck you. Like, we're not. So now we're just not tracking what my sales actually were because someone was resourceful and literally just clicked their honey extension and found the best coupon because it does it automatically. Fuck you. Like, that's the hard thing with affiliate things is like, it's always in favor of the brand because if they use the code, great,
necessarily,
but not really.
It could be the opposite though, because if we do really well, then they could lose money over, like, they could either pay.
They're never going to give a discount that's more than what they're making in profit.
No, this is what I'm saying. They could either pay $5,000 up front, or
100% affiliate is what I'm saying. They're not losing ever.
Or they can get us 10% of every sale they make, but if we sell 500 of them, that's a $10,000 commission instead of a $5,000.
But they're still not losing because they're going to make more commission anyways. They're making more profit. They're selling more items.
Correct.
They're getting it in more people's hands, which leads to more word of mouth.
I mean, listen, this is totally off topic for this particular podcast, but like the whole idea of like a lot of companies don't get that, like, it's more than just the click through and the buy and the links 100%. And the tracking. Like, the companies that get it, for example, like Squarespace or like Dollar Shave Club or, you know, Cash App or whatever, they're just giving people money to run a commercial on their channel because they know eventually someone's going to like.
Yeah. Do you know how many people hit me up on a daily basis asking me questions about camera gear and microphones and all that stuff? I don't get paid any of that. But the way that I get educated on this stuff is by, like, a lot of times sponsored videos. Like Canon will sponsor a video with Peter McKinnon where he goes over all the features of the new Canon camera. And I'm going to watch his video versus their video because I like Peter and I like the way that he's going to break it all down in an entertaining way. And they're sponsoring that video. I didn't ever go click a link in his bio to buy a Canon camera, but probably like 5 people that have hit me up to ask me gear questions, maybe they have. So it's like,
and that's the thing.
That's what people don't understand.
It's not like, well, Peter will only pay you per click or will only pay you per purchase through your special link.
It's like trying to ask the ROI of karma. Like you don't like karma is like what goes around comes around. Like
my favorite one is how do you measure the ROI of your mom? Yeah,
you can't.
It's my
like,
favorite.
Gary V. Yeah, Gary V. always says that. He's like because that's the one thing that companies always want. What's the ROI? What's the ROI? Explain to me the ROI of a basketball to LeBron James. You can't. Like the ROI is everything, but the ROI of a basketball to me is nothing. Like it's the same object, but it's worth different things to different people. The ROI of, you know, whatever, but like it's not calculable because we don't have all the information. Like I was listening to this podcast with
such a tangent from the We're Quitting podcast.
Yeah, I know.
But for those of you that stuck around,
this is the podcast.
This is the podcast. But
I love it. But like Joe Rogan was talking to this one guy about like, you can think you have all the information and build the world's like smartest calculator to predict like something on Earth, but like there still might be like some people chalk it up to like the like reality, like the theory of randomness.
Chaos.
And it's like no, there isn't randomness. It's just that you don't have all the info.
Yeah. Okay.
Like there is no such thing as random. You just don't have all the info. You don't have it, and that's like. You know, even going back to you thinking about everything in North Carolina, I was like, fuck, he's thinking about all this stuff, but he doesn't have all the info.
Whatever. It's fine. But like,
no, it ended up working out.
We've both put ourselves in really great positions. Wheels to walking /
doggy, missionary.
Wheels to walking. God damn it, motherfucker. You always cutting up this shit. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this so much.
Fuck. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Wheels Walking / Richard is in a really great position to pretty much do whatever the fuck I want to do and take as long as I want to do it. Sorry, y'all. Same thing with Andrew. Andrew's put himself in a great position where he's helped build this, and he's now worth a lot. So much that the company he's with is willing to pay him a lot more, ton more. You know, so he earned that. You know, and like, you know, we're both
it's exciting.
We're both in really great positions because of what we did together, but in no hard feelings. Because we both realized it was time to go our own separate ways. We're going our own separate ways, man. And it's like,
and who knows? Maybe we'll have a podcast in the future where all we have to do is just come in and show up and we don't have to think about much else. And it's just easy. But like right now, there's a lot more variables of us doing a podcast. So like, it just doesn't make sense right now.
And even same thing with the YouTube channel, man. It's like,
because I think our dynamic is amazing.
Time to do what I want to do. And unfortunately, the podcast and the main channel videos were taking away from what I want to do. And I came up with a really cool plan that allowed me to do what I want to do, that allowed Andrew to help and allowed Andrew to make money. But in the end, he was like, I'm doing something else. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's the perfect excuse for me to not do anything publicly. You know, like it's this little, like I hate people that always put like dumb little quippy shit in their like Instagram bios or like put up quotes, like motivational quotes like, if you see me less, that means I'm doing more. But that actually currently for me for the next couple of months is going to be that. Like I might be active on Instagram if I get inspired to write a post. But for the like I'll be uploading the videos that we already have obligations to complete. Maybe if there's
there's gonna be some bangers. Don't get us wrong. Don't sleep on Wheels to Walking, bro. We've got some bangers coming up,
really good ones. And then you know I'll have the freedom to go as fast or as slow. Because here's the thing, my energy was directed towards things I didn't want it to be directed. Now I have the time to like breathe in, breathe out, take as long as I need to aim, laser focus. Do my 110% obsession shit that I always do and just laser beam this thing. And then once it's completed, I'll launch it and then figure out what the next thing is I want to do. Like I was talking to quite a few people about it and not quite a few, two, and they were like, well,
Quite a couple.
It was like one of them was like, you've earned as much fucking time off as you want. And when you come back, people are going to want you even more. And someone else was like, well, I actually think the fact that you two are going your own separate ways is a good thing, because when you guys come back, you'll be new, like renewed and new inspired, and you'll have different.
I think we should see other people.
Different experiences.
And we're going to come back with all different positions.
All new positions.
All new moves.
All new moves and positions. Wow. Gotta miss this shit, dude.
I know. I am too. That means I get to plug my new podcast, the Walking Podcast, the guy that walks. I'm just kidding. It's like I just take all of Wheels to Walking, but just remove the wheels, and it's just me. No, I think I am gonna do a podcast at some point.
It's in your blood, dude. Like,
yeah,
you are a podcaster, have always been a podcaster. You haven't gone more than like a week or two without doing a podcast in what, like 3 or 4 years now. Like, you're always fucking. I don't think you can exist in the same. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, it's true. I'll have an itch for it, and I'll either fill it with making like, because I haven't made any like personal videos for myself in a while either. Like, I've been kind of like feeling that itch, like maybe doing something on my own YouTube channel a little bit, maybe doing some like tutorial type things just to like scratch that creative itch a little bit.
That's one of the things that I'm excited about for you and for me both, is that we're going to be able to explore ourselves creatively
without each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like we were so attached. The attachment, and it's so, like I said from the beginning, like I'm relieved. Like, I am not stressed or worried at all.
Yeah.
But I am excited and anxious. You know what I mean? Like, the future is still bright, but future's still bright.
Hey, give me my sunnies.
But I would much rather it be too bright and I can't see anything than it be gray and cloudy and foggy and ambiguous and like just kind of like
depressing.
It's not depressing. It's just like unsure where I was going. I was like putting so much energy in so many places and so many things,
and not feeling fulfilled.
No. And all the things that used to fulfill me don't fulfill me anymore.
I'm the same way.
I was actually talking to my therapist about that. I'm like, all the things that used to like get me sparked, that got me excited, that got me motivated, are now just business as usual. Like all the things that used to really, really like get me like amped. Like, now I'm kind of actively trying. Like, it used to be like, anytime I ever do anything, I'm going to come up with this like really cool plan and this really cool video idea and now I'm just like, I just want to do stuff by myself, alone. Like, I don't want to record everything and show everything. And like, this is going to give me a lot of time to like, I mean, dude, I've been bitching for so long about like, man, I need to find a hobby, and that's one of the things like I've been doing behind BTS. Like, I've been going golfing a lot. Like, that's been kind of cool. I haven't made a video about golfing, and I was probably going to make a video about golfing, but not anymore. I tried hand cycling, and that was the shit. And like, I might jump into hand cycling and try to do some hand cycling. I don't know. I'm starting to work out, more hardcore in the gym. I got a lot of the C-brace stuff I'm working on right now that I don't know if I'm going to be publicly doing anything, because like I've got this other thing I'm working on.
Autobach wants to pay us the big bucks.
Yeah. True. True. Autobot got a whole suite of products, y'all.
You're like, man, I'm not making any more videos about the C-brace. And then there's like that meme of like John Cena or something like coming in with the
and this birdie with the steel
Autobot with the steel chair. With the steel chair.
Yeah.
Demonetized.
Oh, sad. Yeah, man, but we'll see, dude. We'll see. I just know that you're gonna be doing your thing. I'm gonna be doing my thing publicly, meaning the Wheels to Walking podcast won't be around for you guys to hang out with us every week.
You'll have to follow us on places.
Instagram, I'll be there. Hit me in the DMs. What up? I might make a few posts. I miss having the time to be able to write captions and do photo shoots. And like engage with those people in those comments versus like you. Like, I miss doing that kind of thing, because like pre-YouTube,
that was all it was.
My Instagram game was lit as fuck, dude. I had like a Monday through Thursday posting schedule, posting time, content strategy, hashtag strategy. Like, I used to do like really good writings that had really good topics and really good comments, and like I miss that Instagram game, and that'll give me some more time to do that. And then but really this
it'll give me time to become an e-boy on TikTok and just learn all the dances. That's like kind of what I'm stoked about. Sorry,
what did I do? Did I whip a nay? Hold on. I don't know how to do that.
That's the whip.
Yeah. But I guess in last final minutes, I don't know. I just want to spill out all my gratitude to everyone who's been listening. Like, you guys are fucking awesome. Like,
seriously, like that's the part that makes me the saddest.
The people from the behind the scenes podcast all the way to now, or the people that jumped in and have listened from episode 0 to now, the people that are listening to this years from now, months from now that might hear this, you know,
very true.
I think it's cool. I think it's so fucking cool. Like, I was talking to someone at that little get together we had at your house. It's like, it's cool to be talking to one person at a party and there be another person nearby that's listening to you guys talk. That's not really interjecting, but they're just there listening, kind of nodding along and like paying attention. But the fact that like regularly we get hundreds of you guys listening to us hang out, like, that's cool. That's cool as shit. And we're really going to miss hanging out with you guys. And, you know, if you're really hungry for podcasts, there's going to be someone on Patreon if you want the first 42 of them.
Yeah. But in the meantime, while you're really hungry for Wheels to Walking podcast, just go back and listen from episode 0 and go all the way back.
Yeah, go back.
I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I even think about some of the, I know there's a lot of people. There's like some of our peers. There's like even families. There's people that like maybe have never commented or never messaged us, or like, you know, maybe never even like there's people like guys and girls out there I know that are listening to us that are super like fucking devastated. Like, I know, like, when my favorite podcasts are over, I'm fucking devastated, dude. Like,
I'm still sad about a lot of podcasts that have ended. So I feel your pain, but we'll be back. We'll be around. I think I can imagine a future where we're doing something similar again. I think live streams will kind of fill in the gap of that for a little bit too, if you're going to do any of those.
I want to find a way to keep touch base with my audience, with the YouTube people, but also I want you guys to fuck off and leave me alone. I'm building something big here. Like, I'm really building something big and something special that's going to be super impactful to a lot of people, and I don't want to be doing Q&As every week. Like, I mostly want to be left alone for 3 to 6 months, and I'm building a banger of a fucking project that I'm going to have to do all on my own, which I'm not worried about. I'm actually excited about, and I'm going to refine it, and, you know, it's going to be the shit. Like, it's going to be so fucking cool, and it's going to help a lot of people and change a lot of lives, just like the YouTube channel has and does and will. But
it's all temporary, mate. Gotta appreciate the good times. Gotta ride with the bad times.
Yeah, it's like everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a season, and some things happen to stay. And, you know, I don't know what this is all about, but it just is what it is.
It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't.
Until it is what it is again. It is what it is until it isn't what it isn't.
We're just like strapping it.
We're literally trying to just milk out the last fucking 3 minutes, yo.
We're like, we don't want to end it. It'll be real once we end it. It'll be fucking real.
No, we don't want this to be real. I was actually kind of like nervous and anxious and excited. Even like when you came over, I was like, I don't want to do today. And you're like, why? I'm like, because it'll be real. And you're like, well, it's been real for a couple weeks. I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's been real. It's been really real.
Fucking real, dude.
See you in another life, brother.
See you in another life, brother.
So I guess to close things out, follow us on places, because you won't be finding us here anymore.
Would a final review help us at all? Like, if the people that are listening, like, jump on iTunes and give us a final review?
Sure. I mean, yeah, like, I think mainly the final review on iTunes would be a cool place to just say what the show like means to you, or, you know, if you're sad about it or whatever, you know, we'd love to hear that, because I mean, we're sad about it too. And obviously the Facebook group, like, I'm sure there's going to be quite a conversation in there.
Yeah, I think and this is kind of for us. We would really love for you guys to let us know what this meant to you, and because there's definitely
a lot of silent listeners. I mean, there's like that, like, most episodes get like 700 views, 700 listens, whatever. And we definitely get a lot. I mean, there's like our hardcore people that comment on like every single thing, and you know, we know them, but there's definitely a lot of people out there that we don't you know, talk to on a regular basis about the show.
Does /message still exist?
Maybe. Let's not do that though.
No. Yeah, just write a review, leave us a
review on iTunes.
Review on iTunes, leave us a comment.
And if you don't have an iPhone,
send us a DM.
Post it on YouTube or put it in the Facebook group.
You guys mean a lot to us, and we'd love to know.
Yeah.
And this is for us. This is kind of selfish. This is kind of selfishly being like, tell us we did a good job.
I think it'll be therapy for all of us.
Did we do a good job? Please tell us we did a good job. Because I think we did a good job.
Yeah. But yeah.
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
And this time I'm not going to say places. I'm going to say Instagram. Follow me on Instagram.
Follow me on Instagram too. That's where I hang out the most, probably.
Yeah. What Instagram? You got a couple of them.
Just Andrew_Deitch.
Yeah. Hit me up at the Wheels to Walking Instagram. You could also comment on a most recent post on.
Yeah, I'm sure
Instagram.
we're both gonna post about it on Instagram. But that's it. And
damn.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Well, not next time. We'll see you never.
We'll see.
Bye.